The beastification of YouTube is on the rise. So Mr. Beast is one of the biggest creator on YouTube. And he basically constantly screams into the camera. There are cuts and pictures and blinks everywhere all the time, every 3 seconds. And what this means, I think, is that these videos are winning. They are winning because compared to something that is less engaging, they are winning because they are more engaging. They are more blasting it into your face. And if you think about a group, for example, a classroom, and the person who screams the loudest all the time will probably get the most listens. Now the question is, what do you actually want to do about this? Not what do you want to do about this, but what do we want to do about this? And how could we potentially solve this problem? Because, I mean, does a 40-year-old watch MrBeast videos and wants to constantly be bombarded with this? Probably less likely than a teenager or even a child. So therefore, I think the beastification of YouTube, even though MrBeast has very good intentions, I guess, and he's just using the current system, he's basically running on the incentives, on the incentive structure of YouTube. YouTube wants to maximize attention per unit of time. The more time people tend to spend on the platform, the more time they spend watching ads, because ads are a certain proportion of the overall watch time. And since YouTube probably is paid per ad and per watched ad and per maybe also engaged ad, this results in YouTube trying to maximize YouTube consumption. And now here's the problem. If YouTube tries to temporarily maximize YouTube consumption, then it just has the incentive to make it as addictive as possible. And now if there is a creator that then has this incentive structure and is basically running on this incentive structure, and every creator on YouTube is, then this results in people making the thing that gets the most views all the time. But what this fails to do is optimize for long-term mental health, for example. I mean, is it really mentally healthy, you could say, that you watch YouTube, or that kids, for example, watch YouTube up to anywhere from 1, maybe it's 30 minutes, up to 5, 6, 7, 8 hours a day? There are probably people out there who do nothing apart from, so when they go home, they just watch YouTube. After work, after school, after studying. And this is a really big problem, because this is, I would argue, at least to some extent, completely wasted time. Because I think, this is just my personal experience now, I think you can only process at a given amount of time, a given amount of information. And now of course you could potentially also use YouTube in order to gain insights about new things. You could potentially use YouTube for studying and for helping you with studying better, more efficient. And you could also use YouTube in order to get productivity hacks. But the problem arises as soon as YouTube is incentivized or is running on an incentive structure that then wants to maximize your time spent on the platform and not your overall satisfaction with the platform. And also, you don't really know what your overall satisfaction on the platform actually is, because in the moment when you are actually watching, you are probably kind of happy. And sometimes you may be kind of happy and you may be even laughing at the content because it's so funny. But in the long term, there is this emptiness and that emptiness, but stems from the dopamine cycle. The dopamine cycle not working properly anymore. We, as a generation, are basically, you could say, if you want to put it very clickbaity, we are destroying the reward system of the next generation. Think of a kid that is 6-year-old. Think of a kid that is maybe 10-year-old. And they, at some point in time, get into first contact with YouTube or TikTok. I mean, TikTok is even worse, you could say. Or they just get in touch with these systems. And they don't have media literacy. Many people do not really have enough media literacy. And these systems are designed to be as addictive as possible. That's just the financial structure behind it. So now, what this results in is that we basically make this content more and more appealing to the people in our society that are exploitable in terms of their attention, in terms of how well they are able to control themselves. And these people might be people with ADHD, for example, but these people also just might be people that are not even of full age, because these people are teenagers and children. And thereby, I think we are currently hurting the systems we as a society have currently running, the information exchange systems that run on the internet, that are incentivized by the financial structure to maximize ad revenue, are targeting the least, the audience, are targeting best the audience that least can control themselves. And they basically are the most vulnerable. And we are targeting basically exactly these people. Joe Rogan, for example, has stated, so Joe Rogan has a podcast, he's a big podcaster, and he interviewed MrBeast at one point in time. And he mentioned that his children watch MrBeast. And basically in every interaction I have seen where MrBeast interacts with some kind of father or parent, the parent says, "Oh yeah, my children love you. My children love your content." Now, the question is, to which extent these children actually love the content because they actually love it, which of course cannot really be quantified, or much more because these videos are basically exactly what a children's brain sucks on. Not really sucks on, that was a not very nice and good word, but what a children... These videos are basically designed to exploit a children's brain as good as possible. And it's not really MrBeast's fault. Again, it's the system design's fault. If I wanted to maximize, or if I wanted to make videos that were more and more clickbaity, and as I am going along this journey of documenting things in my life, documenting thoughts in my life, and displaying them publicly, I am also realizing that if I just make things a little bit more clickbaity, if I just have this title and instead of writing something very long that would be 2 sentences and just shorten it down to "this is what I did," or "try this new hack," or "try these new 3 life hacks," or 7 life hacks that would change your life. As we go along this journey of more and more and more making these things more clickbaity, because we are all incentivized to do so by these systems that optimize, not that optimize, but that maximize for temporary as much time spent as possible on these platforms, then we are running into this problem. And this problem, in short now, again, could be seen as the MrBeast-ification of YouTube, but this is only a sub-problem, I would argue. The bigger problem is that the more clickbaity you speak, the more clickbaity you write. And if you then additionally add layers, attention layers on top of this, like things popping up, like screen text on a screen, captions popping up, like big and then here and then here and then here on the screen, which is a trick many YouTubers do now, because it hooks you more on the video. And so here are other things many YouTubers also use. They speak faster, because if you speak faster, then it's harder to actually grasp what a person is saying. And therefore, if you now miss 2 seconds of a video, you might not understand what just happened. And therefore, you would have to rewind back. And if you actually rewind back in a video, then this actually maximizes the retention at this specific point in time. Therefore, again, creators are incentivized to... Example. You have something you want to show on the screen. Like, we also did this previously. And then you show the picture. And now a YouTube creator is incentivized to make it shorter in order for the person that then consumes the content to not fully understand this picture. Because then the person has to rewind back. But what this doesn't optimize is viewing experience, actually. Do you actually want to sit on your phone or your computer and rewind all the time just to get the most important things? Or watch the video in maybe a speed that is lower? And yeah, well, I think this is the big conclusion to what actually began with the MrBeast-ification of YouTube, and ended with the more general problem of an economy that is based on short-term attention and doesn't actually optimize for long-term sustainability, for long-term relationship of somebody with their audience, and maybe also for long-term mental health, you could say. What if the platform actually... Because think of this. How productive will a child be that from age 12 to 18 or 20 is addicted to YouTube, is addicted to TikTok, at least for 2 hours a day? And even if it is only 7 hours a week, let's say. I mean, these are just numbers we just have accepted as a society now. Everybody seems to have this problem, at least from my age down. And I mean, it's just ridiculous, really. If you think you wasted 1 hour in a given day for something you didn't actually want to do. If you think about what you actually want to do in life. Is it watching YouTube videos, or is it actually doing something, creating something bigger? Of course, in the short term, watching a YouTube video always seems to be a good option, and even afterward we think, yeah, we learned something. To a bigger extent, this is true for TikTok. You scroll through and you think, oh yeah, I learned this and this and this, and then 2 weeks go by and you can't remember anything at all from this. Maybe it is one single thing, but all the other content is just gone. Your brain just has almost no capability, I guess, at least to my experience, of actually keeping these things, of storing these things. Because most of the time, the information actually is not really relevant to you. Because for information to be really relevant, you actually have to tell your brain that the information itself is relevant in some way or another by putting yourself under more stress. For example, what you could do in order to boost your own retention in your brain is you watch something or you read something, and then afterwards you would do something that actually spikes your adrenaline and puts your body under stress, like going for a 10-minute sprint, for example. And then this marks basically the just learned information to the thing you just learned, because it creates this association. So, is there a solution in sight? Maybe, but not in the short term, I think. I mean, there were different platforms already that tried something better, like Vero, for example, a social media alternative that now is growing in attention again as Instagram introduces more and more TikTok-like or TikTok-esque features into their app. I think there is not really something on the horizon, and that's kind of sad.